Hey guys, Zach Tanner with Inside the Red Raiders here with the Snubbed Running Backs Edition. Snubbed is a series that I started with the quarterbacks a few months ago or a few weeks ago. Oh wow, already was a couple months ago. That's pretty scary. Talking about highly rated guys from previous classes that ended up not picking Texas Tech and kind of going back and kind of evaluating whether they made the right decision or not. I think this is something that comes up a lot in discussions. As players go to other schools and either excel or flame out. It's always interesting to kind of look back and analyze that and kind of see whether guys made the right decisions, picked better fits, or whether they probably made the wrong decision. So. The quarterbacks edition I posted back in early July. Sorry it's taken so long, but I've finally got around to the running backs edition, and so I've got three players listed again with kind of varying grades. The first one, who is an obvious F to me, is Chris Warren the third out of Rockwall, 4-star from the class of 2015. Warren's collegiate career is already over. He declared for the NFL this after last season, after seeing time mostly at fullback and in goal line situations, catching some passes out of the backfield. Warren was actually a heavy contender for Texas Tech, or rather Texas Tech was a heavy contender for his services in high school. Took a couple of visits there, camped there. You would always see him wearing Tech gear, and at the time he had. When he was making his decision, his top three consisted of Washington, UT, and Texas Tech. And I think Tech felt pretty good about that. I think for most of his recruitment, I know Tech ended up taking Corey Dauphine out of Port Arthur Memorial, which ultimately did not work out. And that's one reason why Warren is considered, why I consider Warren to be, an F here, because there was a lot of opportunity there. It made sense for him to come to Texas Tech at the time, but a disappointing 2014 season and some kind of renewed emphasis or primary emphasis on the pass instead of the run, I think played into that decision. Also some questions around Coach Kingsbury's job security. That was the year that, the 82 burger was dropped on Texas Tech in Fort Worth. Warren ended up signing with UT. And, it seemed that first year in 2015, with those 25 carries for 276 yards, he was just, untackleable basically, despite the loss to the Red Raiders in Austin. It seemed like he would be the next great Texas running back. But after that, Deontay Foreman ended up starting the Notre Dame game in 2016. As that year went on, it seemed like Chris Warren was just getting bigger and bigger and just kind of, demotivated. He wasn't running as hard. And there was kind of, almost like there was like a flash of sunlight, a flash of brilliance against Oklahoma State where he had a couple of good carries, but he hurt his knee that game, sat the rest of the year, and was never really the same player after that. He's gone now. And I think a lot of the demotivation and kind of limited playing time has to do with Texas basically over recruiting at that position. They were taking, multiple running backs per class, and the younger guys just kind of beat out Warren. So you can kind of argue that, Texas Tech would have been a better opportunity for him because they didn't recruit the position that heavily, and they also had some attrition at that position, not signing Bryson Denley, having DeLeon Ward sit out, having Desmond Nisme now transfer out. I mean, you could argue that were Warren to sign with Texas Tech and possibly even redshirt in 2015, though I doubt he would have. That after DeAndre Washington left for the NFL, that Warren would have been kind of the heir apparent at running back, taken that job, seized it, limited Stockton to a more scat back type of role, and we could be talking about this year with questions at quarterback about Warren maybe being primed for a Walker Award type of season. I consider it an F. I don't think Warren made the right decision by going to Texas, but he's looking to make some waves in fall camp for the Raiders, so best of luck to him in his career in the pros. Next up on my list is Benjamin out of Wiley East High School, class of 2017 prospect, who was very close with commit Jack Anderson, a blue chip guy who committed early to Texas Tech and really worked hard on before kind of wasn't into it and delayed things and kind of took his time, ultimately committing to Iowa, but then decommitting and scrambling to sign late with Arizona State. It's still early. He is, just a sophomore. I get it. So it's very hard to give him a failing grade right now, but I don't think it's hard to kind of project a failing grade for him based on what the coaching staff has done since Benjamin arrived in Tempe. So I give him a D incomplete, mainly because the Sun Devils not only took 2 running backs in his class, but took 4 running backs in 2018, including a familiar name to Texas Tech fans, A.J. Carter, who was, such an incredible running back coming out of Manny, Louisiana. That's something in next year's edition of this. I will probably be criticizing the coaching staff for not pursuing him after he was dropped by UCLA, because he is looking like a tremendous player out there. They're already comparing him to, saying that they haven't had a player like him through that program in a long time, already talking about his NFL potential, and he's just a true freshman. He's just one of the 4 running backs they took in the class of 2018. Now, granted, they lost a couple of senior running backs, but 4 bodies at any position where usually only 1 or 2 players play at a time is not a vote of confidence at all. In fact, it's quite concerning for Benjamin's playing time prospect. So if you look at what could have been had he signed with Texas Tech, he's probably as a class of 2017, he's probably that second initial counter alongside Nisby. Tech probably doesn't take Trey King or doesn't need to. They probably don't need to go after Derek Mitchell, and the loss of Bryson Denley from his class hurts less with Benjamin committed. Benjamin is probably, with DeLeon Ward, kind of considered the front runner for the job right now. And given Ward's issues with off the field stuff, you have to wonder if Benjamin isn't the leader in Tech's doghouse for the starting, or in Tech's stable of running backs for the starting job. And again, with the renewed emphasis on the run and the modern attack that Coach Johns wants to instill, you wonder how Benjamin, what kind of resume he would have put together this year for postseason accolades and possibly, an NFL resume. So again, very early, and he has tons of time to become, the next great Sun Devil running back and make his mark. But it just doesn't seem like it will be a great situation for him. And from a playing time perspective, certainly not what he would have signed up for had he committed to Texas Tech. Those are 2 kind of negative grades, but not everybody who turns down Texas Tech, unfortunately, is making the wrong decision. There are guys who pick different schools for different reasons and end up coming out ahead. And the one that comes to mind for me is Travion Williams out of Houston C.E. King, 4-star in the class of 2016. Tech offered him back in February of 2015, right after they had picked up a commitment from DeLeon Ward. They wanted him as kind of a number 2 back that would kind of complement Ward's. They're around the same size, but I think Ward was seen as more of an every down back, while Williams was seen as more of a 3rd down back. Yeah, Williams had some good things to say about Texas Tech when he got offered. It was kind of thought that he would visit that offseason, and with DeAndre Washington having a strong year, I think there was some positive momentum there early. So Williams did not visit. He ended up committing to TCU and then flipped to A&M, who was actually one of his first Power 5 offers and who he had listed, as an early leader. And, although, Tech obviously would have had a great situation for him from a playing time perspective, Williams, you got to give him credit. The kid made his own way at A&M. He relegated Keith Ford to backup duty, went for 1,000 yards his true freshman year. His production dipped a little bit last year after Coach Sumlin was fired, or helping result in Coach Sumlin being fired. But now he's got Jimbo Fisher in there, who runs those I formation pro style offenses, where you got to run to set up the play action, to set up the pass, and Williams will shoulder most of those carries. So he's probably going to be a guy that declares for the NFL as a 3rd-year player, as a true junior. And despite him, probably providing some stability and an answer at running back at a kind of tumultuous time for the running backs in Texas Tech's history. Yeah, you got to give him an A for picking A&M, and it's hard to say that he did not make the right decision there. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the article. It's always interesting to go back and kind of look at past classes and where some top guys end up. Yeah, the next edition will be around wide receivers, and I think you guys will find that very interesting.